An interesting thing about, before we leave the old devil, the number 666, according to one source, the 666 is the imperial stamp of the Roman Senate. So that the Roman Senate, you know how they used to have stamps and imprint things with wax to seal documents. So it had something to do with that. And apparently the original stamp, I don't know how it was laid out, but let's assume this is what it looks like. It had the number 666, and there was sort of like an eagle, like the Roman eagle type thing. So you had 666 and an eagle. Later on, they replaced the eagle with a wolf. And I'm not good at drawing wolves, so I'll just write the word wolf. Remember the myth of Romulus and Remus being brought up by wolves? They replaced the eagle image or word, whatever, with the wolf. And the wolf is regarded as a beast, an animal. Even the Bible talks about beasts of the field, like animals. So this is probably where we get 666 as the mark of the beast. After the Roman Empire fell, the church continued using the Roman Senate stamp as a symbol of authority to make things look authentic or important. And it's believed that one of the gates in the Colosseum has a stamp with the 666, and whether it's got the eagle or the wolf, I'm not sure, but it's supposed to be somewhere down in the dungeons of the Colosseum, so that probably still exists to this day. So that gives you an idea. Well, it's one possibility of where the 666 came from. Another troublesome topic, hell. Now, doesn't that create a lot of problems for people, even for Christians that believe people that they love who are not converted are going to spend eternity far away from them in this horrible hell? Well, hell, the word came from the Nordic goddess Hel. Again, the poor old goddess is copping a hiding. Hel was a Nordic goddess. Her womb was considered the place of immortality, where, in other words, where the dead went. And it wasn't a place of punishment or a bad place. It was more or less just the abode of the dead, whether they were good or bad people. That's just sort of like you got the morgue. They're all dead, they're all corpses, so they're all in the morgue. Well, her womb, Hel's womb, was the place of the dead. And what happened was, in the ancient world, volcanoes were considered to be entrances to the underworld. So you can imagine volcano here. So these volcanoes were considered doorways into the underworld where the goddess lived and the abode of the dead. So with all this volcanic fire and brimstone activity, you get a connection of a fiery afterlife or a fiery place. Now, the idea of eternal torment by fire is an alien idea to the early Hebrews. But the Persians, who were under the Zoroastrian religion, the Persians had their own lake of fire. I assume that's where people were tormented. So there again, a nearby culture did have a lake of fire, and the Hebrews, living relatively close, seem to have taken that on. And of course, outside Jerusalem, there was a burning rubbish tip that's been called in the Hebrew Gehenna. I think it's been translated as hell in the English Bibles. That was near the Temple Mount, and so Gehenna, which gets called hell, is just really the Jerusalem rubbish tip that where there were a lot of fires burning all the time, so they were burning corpses and burning rubbish, and so it was just Yeah, but it got changed in intensity in some way to meaning the afterlife and people's bodies being able to endure hellfire forever. One interesting comment about the terms everlasting fire or everlasting punishment in the Bible. One scholar claims that these terms about it being everlasting didn't turn up until the 16th century. So as things get translated and things get reworked, reframed over time, these, whatever the originals were or whether the previous meanings were, it gets reworked into eternal fire or eternal punishment. But that seems to be something that came along in the 16th century.